mentioned mirrors before, and we all kind of see the world through the lens, I guess, of our own experiences, and the way we perceive things and our reality is kind of a reflection of our history, our past, our interactions that we've had with people. And so when we recognize that everything is a mirror for us, we can become more aware of the things that trigger us and understand that the things that bother us about other people are often a reflection of a fear or an anger, something inside of us that is reflected in the way we perceive that other person or situation or thing. So when we become aware of that, then I feel like that helps us to practice empathy. So being aware of our triggers helps us to practice empathy, and it also helps us to understand what our own motives are. And that's kind of a tricky question sometimes, don't you think? Because lots of times maybe we realize, oh, my motive was to convert somebody to my side. It was to change their mind or to force them to turn around their opinion.
And I think that's really helpful because a lot of times we actually aren't aware of our own motives. We're not sure why we're so frustrated with somebody. Mm-hmm. And once you can become aware of your motives and accept your motives, then you can set yourself up for success, because you could have the same conversation with somebody, and instead of setting up your goal as I want to convert them to my side, you're almost certainly going to be disappointed by that goal. Like, you're not going to succeed, most likely. But if you can have your goal be to create shared understanding, you could walk away from that same conversation feeling like it was a success, and keeping that positive energy, those positive thoughts and feelings flowing through you versus walking away feeling frustrated. Yeah,
finding common ground is probably a more attainable goal than changing somebody's mind. And that's one conversation.
And it's more in your control, right? You can't control how somebody else thinks, but you can create more understanding on your side.
Definitely. So this is one of those opportunities for us to kind of be the change that we want to see. Like, it kind of starts with us. And once we create that space, like you were talking about earlier, for, safe discussion space, then people are more likely to respond to that and create that dialogue where shared common ground, shared understanding can exist.
So this kind of goes back to mindfulness with awareness and acceptance, because when we can be aware of our own motives, when we can handle the discomfort of getting curious about really digging around and understanding who we are on the inside, when we are in a charged situation, we are aware enough to say, like, a little bell can go off and be like, wait, why am I distancing myself from this person? Or why am I judging them? And then you can ask yourself, okay, wait, what are they reflecting back to me that I'm afraid of right now? And so it can become a really great exercise. So mindfulness with awareness and acceptance and curiosity, all these things allow us not only to understand other people better, but they allow us to understand ourselves better, and then that shortens the distance between us and other people.
That's a great way to put it.
As we talked about earlier, when we are in a political or election cycle, we often turn people or huge swaths of the population into symbols of things that we don't like. And essentially what we're doing is we're waging war, and we're responding to that war that's going on in our head. We're not sitting drinking tea with somebody and hoping to understand their deep inner value system when our relative casually mentions a belief over dinner. We are reacting to the war in our head, and that's exhausting.
Well, a war is like the most stressful thing that you could be involved in. So can you imagine? Yeah, we're like constantly in a state of fight or flight. We're gonna burn out at some point.
Yes. And so self-care during these cycles is very, very important. And self-care is something that gets thrown around a lot. And some people even have a hard time, like, I really don't understand why taking a bath right now is gonna make me feel better. But with self-care, the ultimate goal is self-affection. And the reason for that is one of the ways that your brain knows you are not in stress, you are not in a threatening situation, is by showing or being the recipient of affection. Because that's not really something your brain can focus on if there's like a tiger chasing you. It can't focus on affection. So therefore, affection becomes a signal to your brain that you are in an okay place. So that is one way that your body can kind of complete your stress cycle. It can signal to your body, now's an okay time to put down your armor, to relax, and then you're able to respond much more rationally and calmly, and probably in the way that you want to, the next day when something else happens that is upsetting to you.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where the well of compassion that you dig for yourself kind of is the measuring stick or the standard of the well of compassion that you can have for other people. So taking care of yourself, and we're talking simple things like getting enough sleep and good food and nutrition and like basic things, but also knowing when to disengage. Like you've been on this forum or on social media long enough.
Or you've been maybe knocking doors or, whatever your involvement is in at that point, that it's actually not a war. You can step back and take care of yourself. And I have a friend who she likes to think of self-care as present her taking care of future her. And I think that's a really great way, because sometimes self-care, again, people don't understand the connection, but present you knowing that future you is going to appreciate you closing your laptop and going to bed or disengaging at that point is self-care.
Yeah, and that's laying the foundation for you to have care and compassion for other people, whether they're on your side or on the opposing side.
The exercise that we wanted to talk about that is extremely helpful with self-care is called 5 Things, the 5 Things meditation. And 5 Things meditation is a little bit misleading because people often think you have to be sitting for meditation. But one of the great things about 5 Things meditation is it can be done with any repetitive movement, really. You can do it while walking or jogging. You could do it while riding a bike. Mm-hmm. You can do it with kids.
You can do it laying in bed.
Yes, you can. And it is actually a meditation that can be used for acute stress. So it creates such a strong focus for your brain that it makes it hard for your brain to leave and start exploring things that you're stressed about. So you have to stay focused on the task at hand. So to do 5 Things meditation, all you have to do is find 5 things you can see, 5 things you can hear, and then 5 things you can feel. And it helps if you can be aware of your breath, if you can relax tension in your neck during this. And if you're doing it sitting down, it's fine. You can open your eyes while you're looking for 5 things you can see, and then close your eyes while you listen for 5 things you can hear and 5 things you can feel. And it's fine. There's not like rigid rules. If you can only find 3 things you can hear, just cycle through them till you hit 5. And 5 things you can feel could be anything from pressure beneath you or an itch, or it could actually be like, I feel tension in my heart right now, or I feel grumpy. So the point is that you are focusing on things in your current situation without writing a story about them. You are not looking at the bird and thinking about the bird and thinking about where it's going and getting lost in that story. Yeah. You're just looking at it and then moving on.
Yeah, checking in with your senses and your surroundings, and very grounding.
Yes, and so this is something, again, with self-care, you could do this while you're walking, which would be a great self-care technique, or while you are going on a jog, or while you're sitting in the backyard with your child. It's a great way to really, really ground you in the moment.
Another important aspect of self-care kind of focuses on protection, and that is creating healthy boundaries.
Yes, so boundaries are huge with politics. Boundaries are not walls. So a lot of times when you say put up boundaries, people think that means like stonewalling someone. You're not letting anybody in or anybody out. And that's what we see a lot in politics is unless you're coming over to my side, you get no access.
And I think those walls are something that help make the echo chambers, like we talked about before. So we still want to let other information come in.
Excellent point. Yes. By the same token, it's important not to have no boundaries either, right? Because then when we read a news article that we feel a little bit of emotion kicking up, and then we go down to the comment section, some random person that we've never met and we know nothing about them, their comment goes straight to our inner nucleus, to like our inner peace, and because we had no boundaries. And so sometimes it's hard to learn to navigate the difference between zero boundaries and stonewalling. But having healthy boundaries means that we're very aware of what we need to protect, what makes us move away from our center, what kicks up dust for us. And we are also aware of where other people's boundaries are. So boundaries not only keep other people from hurting us, but it helps us know, you know what? I don't want to cross this line because I can see where I end and you begin, and I don't need to cross over into your inner safe place either and start hurling insults or whatever. And so when we are aware of what is important to us, what our core values are, we can sort of wait for healthy dialogue and healthy situations to allow people to earn the trust to affect our inner space and our beliefs.
That. You have to earn the trust to affect you.
And likewise, we are aware that when we are engaging in less than mature tactics, we don't deserve to get into somebody else's inner peace and into their inner space. And again, that's holding this space for this shared humanity, for seeing them as a human and seeing ourselves as a human, because like you talked about, it's so important for us to dig that well of understanding in ourselves that we can offer to other people. And that is where healthy dialogue comes from, because as you slowly earn that trust, you are able then to have a healthy dialogue and maybe have a meeting of minds and understanding, find that common ground. But the troll on some news network about some random article has not earned the trust to get into your inner space. And so when you are aware of your boundaries and you have healthy boundaries, it helps everybody.
Maybe that involves like kind of deciding ahead of time where those boundaries are, so that when you're in the moment, in the fight or flight, you don't have to decide, no, I think my boundary's right here. But you know where your boundaries are already.
That is a good point. And you can also feel when a boundary's been crossed. Like, they crossed my boundary. Yeah. I can tell I let them in. I'm gonna disengage now. Yeah. And Brene Brown, wonderful person that she is, has a saying that is strong back, soft front. And so being able to kind of know, like, okay, this is not a situation where I want my soft underbelly exposed, like you said, being aware beforehand. But neither do I want to be fully armored all the time. And so being able to understand the best situations for you and for other people to really dialogue is very important in these situations.
Yeah, I think having healthy boundaries really paves the way for another important topic, which is equanimity.
Yes,
and
they go hand in hand.
They do. So equanimity is the ability to remain calm and collected in the midst of chaos. And this is a really important point, because we don't wait for conditions to be perfect until we have our inner peace, or until we're happy, or
until everybody from every political party agrees with us about everything.
Right. It's kind of like the eye of the storm. There's always going to be chaos, and we're aware of that, and we accept that. And we find that calm space within the chaos,
which I think plays very much to boundaries, because a calm inner space by definition means there's outer and inner, right? You've defined where somebody else or something else ends and where you begin. And that's when you're able to relinquish things that you cannot control. Like, if you're trying to find inner peace and you're trying to meditate and you're waiting for the cars outside to stop honking and kids to stop knocking on the door or whatever, you recognize that that's outer and that your peace is inner. And so when it comes to politics, every person who marches across your path doesn't just steal your inner peace. You're very aware. And again, that goes kind of back to mindfulness too.
Yeah. And, we all slip up sometimes. We're not ever going to, react to every situation perfectly. And sometimes in the middle of a conversation, we become aware, that things are escalating, things are becoming inflammatory, and we need to have a reset.
Yes. Trying to find your inner peace cannot become just one more thing that you beat yourself over the head about.
Right.
Like, oh, I didn't do that perfectly, or I did get away from center, or lost my temper. Everybody's going to do that sometimes.
Totally.
But yeah, with mindfulness, you can say, okay, well, let's stay curious. Why did I flare up there? What happened, instead of beating yourself up?
Definitely. Yeah. And so we go back to the breath work, we go back to the affirmations. And one more really helpful technique is using a body scan, because we often hold our stress, we hold our tension, maybe in our shoulders,
and yet we think our stress is all in our head, so we don't even acknowledge what's going on in our body.
Yeah, but we all do that. We hold it somewhere in our body, and whether it's the shoulders, our hands are clenched, our jaws clenched, our stomach is
our
tight.
Breathing changes, our stomach muscles.
Yeah. So we can pair our breathing and our affirmations with doing like a mental body scan. And there are a lot of ways to do this. That any way that works for you is fine. But a really simple way to do it would just be to start with your head and move down your body. And just with each breath, you put your awareness on that body part. So, you could start with the top of your head, move to your eyes and your cheeks and your jaw and your neck. And then with every out breath, you focus on releasing any tension that you're holding in that part of your body. Some people like to imagine that there's light going down their body and like shining on every crevice and corner. And radiating warm comfort and relaxation. Whatever way works best for you is fine.
And it can be done in 45 minutes, or you can do it in the moment. If you're, giving a speech or helping someone campaign, or you just had an inflammatory conversation with someone you care about, you can do it in 3 seconds. You can just quickly scan through. It can meet you where your need is at the moment.
Yeah. Again, you should practice it alone, maybe laying in bed when you're ready to go to sleep, and you practice relaxing, because once you associate the relaxation and the calm with the body scan, then yes, you could practice it in the heat of the moment in just a few seconds with your eyes open and get the benefits of it if you have cultivated the skill.
And for me, I'm a very tactile person, so it helps me as I'm doing my body scan to move that body part. It just creates one more enforcement. I wouldn't do this in the moment, obviously, of interaction with someone. But when I'm practicing, I like to curl my toes when I get to my toes, and I like to flex my muscle groups as I get up, and even flex my face, when I get to my face, or shrug my shoulders. It just creates that mind-body connection. And that's another way that some people like to do it.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed our Mindfulness in Politics video. We have a lot more information on all things mindfulness and wellness and meditation on Instagram as well as Facebook. We have some more videos in the making, so go ahead and check us out if you're interested in more. And we wanted to leave you with some acronyms to really be able to remember these on the fly. Anytime you need to whip these out of your tool belt, we have 2 different acronyms you can remember. The first acronym is ABCs. So ABCS. A is awareness. B is boundaries. C, curiosity. S, seeds of humanity. So when you find yourself moving away from your center or in a distressing situation, you can just remember ABCs, and pull those concepts back into your awareness, and maybe they can be the first line of defense in calming yourself and grounding yourself.
The second acronym is really fun. It's FAB, because you're going to feel fabulous.
That's our hope.
That's our hope. Okay, so F is the 5 things meditation. A is affirmations, and B is the breathing exercises. We hope that these techniques will help you in your dialogue that you have with people about political issues. We hope that it will help create space for you to have shared understanding, find that common ground.
And maybe even enjoy aspects of this next political season.